we're starting the recording. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I normally play music before this, but I keep getting my videos flagged. So I'm becoming better at not playing the music the whole time. But I like listening to music while I paint, so kind of is hit or miss, right? Yeah, it'll mute it on Twitch. But yeah, so if you're trying to watch these videos and the audio is not working here on Twitch, I upload them to YouTube. So you can watch them on YouTube later. And my channel's got some other videos. Right now, it doesn't look like we have anyone live because it's Friday night, and I've insisted upon streaming Friday nights. But we're going to go ahead and animate a GIF. Basically, I'm going to doctor up my stream today. So if you're joining me, we'll go over how to animate a GIF in Photoshop, and we will cover how to create a layout from what I imagine you have to do. So we'll get that going shortly. I've got some things prepped for that. I've got my twitchalerts.com pulled up here. So I'll be able to kind of like test out what we're working on as we go. But if you're interested in animating GIFs in Photoshop, I'll show you basics on how to do that because I got to do it today. And if you're watching this on YouTube, if you have any questions, leave a comment below. Or you can find me live on Twitch, www.twitch.tv/Mike086. If you're watching this on Twitch and you want to watch the other videos and you're wondering, where they are, they're on my YouTube channel. You can search Mike086 and it's the same username. But anyway, we'll get started now. Grab a drink. Okay. I got this little character I was painting up the other day, and I'm going to go ahead and animate him today. And I've got a little bit of the layers kind of set up already, but we'll kind of work and fail at this together because I'm pretty sure I'm going to mess up at some point. Let's see here. Here's our dude. He's this creepy little bear guy. So we're going to take him and turn him into a Twitch alert like animation GIF. And I'll explain how I set him up already. But basically, first you have to paint, the bear guy or draw him up. Get your character going, and then we'll have the character broken up into bits. So that way we can really get him animated correctly. And then if you're watching this on stream, you should notice that there is a gap to the right of my Photoshop screen. There's like a blank black bar. That black bar, we're going to cover that up today. So I'm going to make a layout for myself that is going to cover up the black bar and just make it a nice little presentable viewing space, right? So you should see, I got to pull up the window real quick. There's a black bar to the right above the options, theater mode, and full screen buttons. And I'm noticing that like I've got my Instagram and my website at the bottom kind of get covered up by the pause button and the audio button whenever you scroll over the actual Twitch window that you're viewing live right now. If you're watching it live, if you're watching this on YouTube, you probably can't see all that. You just see the black bar off to the side, right? So we're going to make a layout today, and we're going to animate a GIF. So if you're interested in what I'm doing, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in chat. Hello, Alk, good evening. We're going to just do lots of like Twitch maintenance stuff tonight, and then we'll if you're on YouTube, like I said, leave a comment below, and if there's anything you're confused about, you feel free to ask me those questions directly in a message. But let's get started. So I'm gonna kind of hello. I'm just as bad. Hey y'all. Um, we're about to animate a GIF. So here's the guy. He's like a bear dude. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in a bit because it's easier to see on Twitch. We'll animate the bear first, and then we're gonna do a layout for myself. And I might end up shrinking my screen a bit. So I might shrink the screen about that much, and I think it should update. Um, we'll watch it update real quick because there's a delay, and I'm watching the delay, of course. Okay, you'll notice I just shrunk the screen, so I might make a layout for this. Like, see that L shape we've got? And I'll move all this important info that's on the bottom left up to the top right. And once the layout's done, I might have it set up so that my Photoshop window is a little more zoomed in so you can really see what I'm painting a little better. But this bar to the right will have information and possibly where it'd be where the animation pops up, right? Like if people follow. Now there's nothing set up yet, so if you follow or do anything now, I'll get an alert through Twitch alerts, but you're not going to see anything because I haven't set it up properly yet. But I'm going to do that live, so it should be fun. Grab yourself a drink. It's Friday night. Oh, I was going to put incense in because I like to burn incense when I paint sometimes. Okay, the noise you hear is the incense. We're currently burning pure incense, Egyptian musk. So it smells like a tomb in here. Okay. Yeah, grab yourself a drink, sit back and relax. We're going to go through this animation process. And, hopefully you'll learn something, and at the very least you can watch how to kind of get your Twitch channel customized. There we go. Okay. So like I said, feel free to ask any questions. I got the chat up right next to my screen. And we'll get into animating this. So the original dude is he's here on layer 21. He's a full little bear dude. He's kind of creepy looking. So I cut off his head and made it a little bigger. Kind of give him a little more of a cartoony feel. And then on his head, in this little folder here, let me just, I'm going to label this blue. There's a little blue area. We've got a bunch of stuff going on in here. So part of the animation is going to include his eyes opening. It's going to be fairly simple. We're not going to do anything crazy here. His eyes are going to open, and he's going to look at us, and then he's going to have a glowing effect that occurs. And basically, when we're done with him, he'll be set up so. There's a good delay on this. When we're done with this, we'll be set up so that when a follower joins the channel, this guy will pop up. He'll do his little animation, and it'll say "Thanks for following." So that's the idea, right? So let me close off this bottom timeline here, just so you can see how I do this. So when you're using Photoshop, it's going to look something like this. I do have a custom layout here. You'll probably be working in the essentials, in which case, well, actually not essentials. It's you might be in painting or essentials. Everything's lined to the right for me, just because I set it up that way. Here we go. So back to my custom, just because I'm used to this. Let's start by just pulling up the timelines. Right, so if you're going to get into animation, go up to Window in your Photoshop menu above and just find the timeline dropout. You just kind of select that. It's going to pull up a different version of the timeline. You're going to see this pop up. I'll make it look a little bigger. So basically, this is the timeline that represents all the different layers you have. And it'll say create a timeline. You click create timeline. It's going to show you this, right? We're not going to work on this timeline mode because it's a little intense for what we're doing today. and I haven't used it that much, so I don't feel as comfortable talking about this mode. We're going to click down at the very bottom left corner of your screen. There's these 3 little circles, or little squares, and that turns your timeline into these little windows. So what this is going to do is it's going to record whatever's on your screen. It's going to record that as the frame. And if I add a new frame, so each of these boxes represents a frame. If I add a new frame, it will record whatever's in my actual canvas. Let me see if I can make these look a little bigger. This should work. Okay, well, that barely worked. So you can kind of see that right now it says, it's my bear that you see on the screen. It just says 5 seconds. So this bear image is going to play for 5 seconds. Right now I know that we're not going to want to linger this thing for 5 seconds. The whole animation should be like 5 seconds. So I'm going to turn this to like 0.2 seconds. Right, we're just going to run with 0.2 for now, and we can adjust it as we go. So my first frame's kind of done, right? We got to turn the background off too. So right now that I turn the background off, you'll notice there's some like junk going on in the behind the bear. So I'm going to add a layer behind the body layer, and I'm just going to fill in some of this like empty pixels. And I'm just going to take some time to do that right now because I didn't see that till I just now turned off that layer. But this is something you might have to do anyway because I want the guy to be floating with no background. So we're going to have to animate him with no background for this to work right. So I'm just going to use the pen tool here, and you're going to click drag to conform to the curve you need. And then you go to this midpoint here. You hold down Option. I believe it's Option. Yeah, you hold on Option, click, and it's going to close that handle. You'll see that handle disappear. Oh wait, you might not see my actual cursor right now. I have to turn it on to display capture. Okay, so you're gonna see some like things going on right here. You're gonna see the chat, right? So let's just get back into it so you can see my cursor properly. Click, drag, and then like you said, hold Option. It turns off that anchor. I'm going to kind of keep doing that, right? Click, let go. Click, drag to conform the curve you want. Click with Option. Find the next point you want. Click and drag to conform the curve. Option click. And we're just going to outline the whole bear. And these are pretty simple, dude, so like we're not going to need to worry about, it's not going to take too long. But this is how I like to select most of my characters' silhouettes. And it could take a little bit of time to do this, but it's really worth it if you can really get a nice clean silhouette. Or you could paint it, you can paint it nice and clean too. You don't have to do this exact thing. Okay. And I'm only conforming it to the parts that need the background kind of like fixed. Not the background, but like the edges of the bear, they need to be just fixed in terms of opacity. So if there's like some weird loose edges, I'm going to fill in. No, I've got a drink. Thank you. Fill the bottom of the foot in. This leg. Conform that curve. Click up here, conform that curve. Okay. And like I said before, if you're watching this live, feel free to ask any questions you want. It doesn't even have to be about this process. If you want to know something about drawing or painting, just let me know, because some of this stuff is tedious, and it's good to talk about a subject while we're kind of finishing some of the stuff out. You'll notice in art and Photoshop kind of stuff and like illustration, there's a point at which the process just becomes finishing what you're doing, and there's these good moments to go over other subjects. So I got the selection made. What you're going to want to do is go to your paths window. Let me pull it up right here. So this paths window, You're going to click this little circle here. It's like a dotted line circle. It's going to turn your selection into a, it's going to turn your path into a selection. So if you don't exactly know what I'm talking about, it doesn't really matter. All you need to know is that now you can paint inside this. So I'm going to take this dark color and just fill in the whole shape. And like I said, this is behind all my other layers. So if you're noticing like that, you know, it didn't cover over the art that was there, it's because I'm painting behind everything. So if I turn off these two layers, you'll see it's just like this weird shape, but it fills in everything from behind. Like I said, the head's a separate shape here. Okay. Let's get started with the animation now. He's just going to have his head move and his eyes are going to open, and there'll be a lighting effect. That's it. This isn't going to be like some crazy, like dancing bear. No. And I'll do a more complicated animation in the future, as I have another idea for a character that'll pop up whenever people follow. But I got to actually design him first. So once I design him, we'll actually do a complicated animation of a character that like moves and turns his body. But this is going to be like the simple starting animation that we'll do. So frame 1, 0.2 seconds. One Punch Man. Walked into interested though. Yeah, we're animating a GIF. So we're going to make this guy's head rotate side to side, and his eyes are going to open, and we're going to go through this whole process. And he's going to become, we're doctoring up my Twitch channel, just so everyone knows. We're going to make this a little more professional, a little more twitchy, and we're going to have some more interesting stuff going on in the Twitch channel. And it may even have a space for the camera to be turned on eventually, so that people can actually see the person you're talking to. Not that I'm doing anything particularly interesting whenever I do this stuff, especially when we get into actual painting. I'm really just kind of like zombied out at the screen, which isn't interesting to look at. But okay, frame 1, it's going to be 0.2 seconds. If you missed the beginning of this, I'll upload the video to YouTube, so don't worry about it. You can watch the beginning later. But frame 1, 0.2 seconds. It's this bear, right? So anything within the canvas is going to be captured in this animation. I'm just going to press C for the crop tool and adjust my size a bit. So I kind of want the animation to really just hug where the bear exists. I don't want it to be like this crazy big space. Because when we save it out, I don't want the file to be that big just because of the empty space. There we go. Okay, so frame 1, it's just going to be the bear with the closed eyes. It's pretty simple. If I click this new page button at the bottom here, it's going to add a frame, right? So this new symbol, this symbol in Photoshop just means add a new whatever. So if you do it in the layers menu, it adds a new layer. If you do it in the paths menu, it adds a new work path. And if you do it in the channels menu, it adds a new channel. So it doesn't really indicate a particular item so much as it just indicates an action, which is add new X, you know, X being whatever it is you're messing with. So right now you'll notice it's 0.2 seconds, 0.2 seconds. It's the exact same thing going on in the frame. So to make this simple, I'm going to turn this layer on. It says eyes open side to side. And his eyes are going to open and close, right? See? So you can kind of see how this is going to start working out for us. Now, the animation is going to be a little more complicated than this. But just so you understand how this is working from the get-go, every frame is going to save out as the individual frames of the GIF. So anything that happens in this window will be affecting my GIF. I call it GIF, I don't call it GIF. Where you were my digital editing teacher, I tried to teach you that. I was in Texas probably. But let's see here.
One Punch Man is one of my viewers.
Oh, One Punch Man? Hello, One Punch Man. You're one of my girlfriend's viewers. Which sounds really strange to say. Uh-oh. That little update in the top corner is my boss. I need to turn off those updates.
Oh my gosh. Oh no.
Let me do that right now actually. Notifications. Do not disturb. Is that where? How do I do that? Is that top? Do not disturb calls from anyone's TV projectors. I need my iMessage to stop updating me. Or my mail. Banners, none. Mail, none. There we go. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions about this kind of stuff. Like I said, we're animating it, but I work in Photoshop every day. So if there's anything you're interested in, just feel free to ask. Okay, so there should be no more updates in my... Oh yeah, guys, Stranger Things is on Netflix as of today. The new Netflix series. Yeah. Let me just reply to this text real quick because it's important. Okay, back into the animation. Here goes. So the simple way it works, anything happens in the canvas, and if it's saved to a frame, it becomes the next point of action. So like I said, the simple animation right now, it's open and close, right? Now you'll notice that this word once here on the bottom left corner. That is going to be how many times this repeats. Because it says once, it means it's only going to happen once, right? So we're going to have it go forever. And for the purposes of editing this, it'll be easy to kind of see what it looks like, right? I'll press stop to stop that. Okay, so let's delete this frame. We're going to go from this basic now eyes closed all the way to the eyes are open, and there's going to be a symbol. I'm sorry, there's going to be a symbol that lights up, and then there's going to be the eyes opening, right? So in this folder, you can see a bunch of stuff, right? So there's this layer that says shadow. There's a layer that says pupils, and then there's this layer groovy. I heard the groovy. That means somebody did something. One punch, he started falling. Thank you. My Twitch alerts aren't up yet, but I heard them play in my head. But there will soon be this bear popping up whenever someone follows, right? So once he's done today, we'll get him set up. But I did hear the audio play just now, which was really cool.
Yeah, because you have the pop-up browser.
Yeah.
You want it to just show up in your...
Yeah. Well, I gotta get it out. I gotta get the guy set up first. Okay. So there's gonna be a symbol that glows. You'll notice on the top of this bear's forehead there are these 3 scratch marks. Those are the scratch marks made by the secret cult that have imbued the bear with the demonic powers of art. So to get those to glow, I have this scratches. What is it here? Is it glow symbol? No. It's light. I think it's light. Yeah. So there's this frame called light. So we have 2 seconds. I'm just going to add a frame. I'm going to take this layer. It says light. I'm going to take it from 0% fill to 100% fill. All right. You'll notice it's a very subtle change. I'll zoom in so you can see it better. Right. So here's the forehead. See the light kind of turn on? Okay. So we want this light to come on, and then we also want the glow to happen. So I got this layer that says glow, and I'm going to boost that up to 100%. So now you're going to see layer 1, layer 2. I'm sorry, frame 1, frame 2. Frame 1, frame 2. Now I want a subtle transition. So in order for me to have a subtle transition, I need to add steps in between these 2 layers. So if I click layer 1, and then there's this little bouncy ball here on the bottom bar of my timeline menu. It says right here, tweens animation frames. So tweening is like the in-betweens of the frames. You can automatically create the in-betweens by clicking this tweens button. So I clicked it, and it says tween with next frame or last frame. Since I'm on frame 1, I definitely want it to be the next frame. It'll say add 5 frames. I could add 10 frames. I could add 12 frames. However many frames I want. Just for the fun of it, let's add 30 frames. Just to try it, right? And then it says layers, all layers, or selected layers. In this case, we want all layers because we're actually affecting 2 different layers, right? And then it says parameters, position, opacity, effects. So you can keyframe effects, you can keyframe the opacity, which is what I'm doing, or you can keyframe the position. I'm going to say OK. So let's see what it looks like. I'm just going to press play. And you're going to see a slowly transition to a glow over the course of 30 frames. And it repeats, right? We're not going to do 30 frames just because there's more to this animation. But I just wanted to show you all how to like easily get this tweening action going on. This is really good for like glow effects and any kind of like movement that needs to be kind of slow and fluid. Because you basically create the first frame and the end frame, and it does the in-between for you automatically. Now, if you're actually trying to animate an actual character like moving, like turning his body or something, it's just not going to work. You'll have to hand draw that stuff. But for these effects, it works really well. So I'm going to stop it, and I'm going to go all the way to the last frame here. And my last frame is still my... the last frame is still this full-on glow. I'm going to take all the frames in between, just delete them real quick, because I don't need, like I said, I don't need 30 frames. Okay. Oops. Be careful when you press delete in this timeline mode, because when you press delete, you're going to delete your layer. And your layer is not what you want to delete. So if you press delete, you will delete your layer, not the frame. So instead, you got to press the trash can button by clicking it. If you don't click it and you press delete, you'll delete your layer. And if you try to delete a bunch of stuff by pressing delete, you delete all the layers in your file, basically. You won't realize what you're doing until it's too late. So press the trash can button, delete everything without deleting my actual layers. Just keep that in mind, because that totally got me the first time I did this. And just now, I deleted my layer in accident, but I only did once. So back to frame 1. Let's go to the tween. I'm going to tween the next frame, all layers. I'm just going to add 2 frames. And the speed between the 2 frames will be 0.1 seconds. 0.1 second. And then we'll play it now and see what it looks like. There we go. So it's a pretty quick animation, right? You get the idea. It goes from like nothing to glowing. Right? Stop. We're on frame 4, which is the last frame of the sequence. We're now going to get the symbol to glow some more. So more effects are going to happen now. I've got, what is this? I got my symbol here that says, it just says symbol, and that's actually my logo. But we're going to turn that up to 100. Oops, let me undo that. Before we continue, remember, we got to press new frame. So if I have 4 frames right now, I got to press the button new frame, and it will add my new frame. It'll repeat whatever I have on the screen. So my new frame is here. Now I'm going to work while I'm on the newest frame, because it's going to save everything I'm doing. So I got my symbol here up to 100%. And then One Punch Man says, if only I could afford to get Photoshop and such on my laptop, I can get stuff like this and etc. But the only way I got this in school. If you do have a laptop, Photoshop is only $10 a month. So pay for a limited, pay for a couple months, right? And start learning it. You can get the full version of Photoshop for $10 for a month, right? So it's like $10 for 30 days of use. And if you're going to spend that $10, like I spend more on coffee in a month than I do on Photoshop typically. So it's totally like worth it. Anyway, let's go on. So I got my symbol, and I'm going to turn on this glow layer. No, I'm sorry. There's a new layer here that says symbol glow. So I'm going to turn that up to 100%. So right, so my symbol is now glowing. Just the same thing I did last time. I'm just going to go to frame 4, press the tween button. I'm going to add 3 layers now. No, sorry, not 3 layers, 3 frames. And there we go, 3 frames. So we've got the 3 frames added in between are 5, 6, and 7. I'm going to adjust that to 0.1 seconds, 0.1 seconds, and 0.1 seconds. Right, so now if we play the sequence, we're going to see what it looks like. Glows, and then a symbol appears. It's the unholy art symbol. See how it's working? Okay, so I'm going to stop that. Go to the last frame, add new frame before you do anything, because the new frame is going to be where everything saves. I'm going to save my file, speaking of saving. Save your file. I'm now going to add on the eyes opening. So I've got these different layer states of the eyes. They're all set to 0, right? So I believe the bottom one's set to 100. And then what I have to do is I should be able to just take the bottom one here, like there's a mask. So there's a layer and there's a mask. See, I'm clicking between the two. If I take the mask, I should be able to actually just move the mask, and it will create the animation for me. So layer 8 was where we ended. We added a new layer for layer 9. I click the mask layer. I press V, or I press the move tool up here on the top of the toolbar. And we're going to click on the eyelids, hold shift, and go up all the way to the top. And I'm going to let go. Now, you'll notice in the frame it worked, right? So you can see that on frame 8, the eyes are closed. Frame 9, the eyes are open. So again, we're going to tween between these 2 frames. So frame 8, tweening, let's just do 2 frames, okay? And I'm going to make the second, I'm just going to go no delay. No delay, there we go. So between frame 8 and frame 11, there's absolutely no delay. So he's going to open his eyes pretty quickly. Ready? Press play. Symbol glows, opens his eyes. Symbol glows, opens his eyes. Right? Working pretty well. Now, his eyes open and there's a glow coming from his eyes. So I do have a layer called shadow. And the shadow layer needs to actually be turned off. I heard a new version of Krita. I'm sure Krita is good, but I use Photoshop, so I don't know how to animate in Krita. But if you have Photoshop, or if you have an older version, these kind of work the same. And otherwise, I've not heard of Krita before. I'm sure it's really good. Let's see, what am I doing? Oh, so what I've forgotten to do is I forgot to turn off the eyeshadow, which the eyeshadow is literally like, I'm going to turn it down for you. The eyes are glowing now. So you see I turn it back on. The eyes are not glowing. Turn it off. The eyes are glowing. I need to turn this layer off, as well as having the eyes open. So I need to kind of go back here on layer 11. I need to go ahead and turn the layer off all the way. And then I need to go back on layer, frame, I keep getting my words mixed up, but it's frame 9 and 10. And remember, hit the trash can button. And I got to redo this tween, because I need to make sure that the eye glow happens when the eyes open. So let's add the tween, previous frame, add 2 layers, there we go. And we'll make it no delay, and like I said, no delay. So let's try it one more time. So you see how once the eyes open, the face is kind of lit up. Okay, stop that. Okay, we're on frame 18. Now I need his eyes to look at us. So I've got the pupil layer here. I'm just going to click this, press V for move, hold shift, and I'm just going to make him kind of look at us. There we go. It looks super creepy. Oops, I did it in the wrong layer. So undo. Undo. There we go. I forgot to add the new frame. Add new frame, then do the movement. V, make sure you're on the pupil layer. I'm going to adjust him just a little bit. There we go. Okay, so frame 11, frame 12. Let's go ahead and turn this 0.2 seconds to 0.1 second, and this last frame to 0.1 second. And let's go ahead and go to the beginning and press play. Play. Glows. He turns to look at you. So I need to, so you're noticing that by the time he looks at us, the loop starts over. So I kind of want to give him a little more time to stare at us. So on this last frame, let's go ahead and make it half a second. Just play. There you go. Yeah, so I set this up earlier, right? So we're not technically going through the full animation process right now. But I'm going to animate more characters on here. And we'll go through and do a full hand animation in Photoshop. And I'll do the whole process from beginning to end. But before we do that, I'm going to get all this stuff done because I'm trying to get my Twitch alert set up and my overlay set up. Okay, so press stop. He's staring at us now, and now the last thing I want for this whole thing to happen is his head needs to kind of go side to side. So add new layer, add new frame, and we're going to go ahead and make the this frame is going to go for probably maybe half a second. Let's try half a second. And let's go ahead and just make it tilt to the left, his left. Whenever you do this transformation, you need to pull the point of origin down to the neck so that the pivot point is on the neck. Okay, now there's already a problem because you'll notice that the shape behind is peeking through. So what I'm going to have to do is undo this. We're going to have to fix some stuff. Let's see here. I'm going to select the head layer by pressing Command, hitting the thumbnail itself. It's going to select the head, close this folder. Go to this layer 22. I'm going to have to add a new layer I'm going to duplicate the layer. And then I'm going to inverse my selection by pressing Shift Command I and just pressing delete. Click on the layer below, Shift Command I, pressing delete, and then deselect. Now I'm already noticing something weird's going on here. Why is that happening? Ah, I know why it happened. Let's undo that. Undo, undo. Okay. I have to clean up the selection by using the actual lasso tool to come in here. Select the head. Oops, undo, 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 all the way until it's okay. Right, there we go. Got to get this head selection. Now I can inverse it. Delete it, and now I can inverse it again for the body. Delete it, deselect. Okay, so now there's a head unit that's separate from the body, and I should be able to put this inside the folder. So you'll notice whenever I do these edits, it's retroactively updating my frames. So you gotta be careful because sometimes you'll mess up one of your past frames and you'll have to redo all this work. Everything looks to be in order though. Oops. There we go. So we're on frame 13. Let's go ahead and get that head movement now. So, transform tool, point of origin, pull that down to the neck. Rotate the whole head to the to his left. Just enter. Now his ear touches the edge, so let me try that again. I guess I can't make it go that far down. Right to the edge, right there. Let me crop it. This might mess me up a bit. Let's see how it works out. No, it updates fine. Okay, great. So let's try that one more time. I really want his head to kind of like move quite a bit. It's like that. Take that right to the edge of the file. There's some weird things going on right here on the body, so I'm going to click the body part and just fill that in. And that should retroactively update everything. Yeah. So that's the new frame. Oh shit, so you know what happened was it updated the head movement across the board. I thought this would happen, right? So it didn't actually save my big movements like that because there are multiple layers. I've affected the past frames. So we're going to undo that move, and we're going to have to approach this a little differently. Okay, so let's think about this. I have already duplicated this layer that has all the head components in anticipation of something like this happening. So what I've got to do is just make sure that this layer below here is matching everything from the layer just below it. So just got to turn all this stuff on, and that's good. That's fine. The pupils need to look at us. Okay. And then that weird layer that we put, this layer here from the head, we need to put that in the top folder. Okay. All right, so now what I'm going to do, this layer that says eyes open wide side to side, I already made this knowing that we're going to have to go side to side. So I'm just going to merge this into one. Now it's just the head on its own. So if I turn it off, it's kind of hard to tell. The way it's working, everything else is the same. Probably, oops, what happened there? That backing, so that weird backing layer that I had, I need to recreate that in the bottom folder also. So let's just click this, and we'll create that really quickly. Go into this next folder, go down. There's a head, add layer, move this layer below the head, press G, fill it in, deselect. Now it's there. All right. So everything else should still be the same. At layer 12, eyes open. Layer 13, what no one that sees this animation is going to realize is that this head, this folder with the head, is going to go from 100% to 0%. And then this layer, this folder here, the backing layer is inside that folder because this image had some transparent parts that I wanted to get rid of. So it's just basically like there's parts of it that were see-through, and I wanted to make sure they weren't. Okay, so the original folder with the head that we've been animating is now at 0% fill, which means you can't see it. And in an instant, the new head has taken its place right here. So from layer 12 to layer 13, the new head turns on, and then he starts rotating himself. Press enter, and probably going to have to duplicate this and keep. You have to rotate the head all the way to the right. Can't let it clip the edge. There we go. And then I'll duplicate this folder one more time. Duplicate, merge down. That's at 0. This will be at, we're going to call this right. We're going to call this one center. And we're going to turn the right head down to 0. So he's head lean to the left. There's that backing that's missing. So like I said before, we're just going to fill that in. It's only because the way I painted this, he was painted in a dark gray background. And the moment I turn off that dark gray background, you'll notice where I didn't fully color in everything. That's why I'm updating the backing. So okay, his head's in the left stage, right? And like I just told you before, how if you're not careful, you'll mess up all your previous frames. And if you look down at my frames, I've definitely messed them up. So like you'll see that frame 1, because I created new frames, it's kind of superimposed those on the older frame. So I got to go up here to this head turn to 0. But as soon as I turn that head to 0, it re-updates everything. And Josephine just got rank 50 in Overwatch. So big claps. Big 5-0.
And I cut a Rhyhorn.
And she cut a Rhyhorn right here in her own apartment. I'm proud of her. Okay, so thankfully in this case, turning off the layer at the beginning, back to 0%, updated everything. So we're back on frame 13. I keep calling them layers. I swear to God, they're frames. And if you don't know Photoshop, I'm really confusing you because layers are over here. And no, I'm not messing with layers. I'm messing with the frames. So frame 13, we clicked it. We're going to go ahead and make this 0.1 seconds. We're going to add a new frame. And we're going to go ahead and turn the right head to... no, I'm sorry. The right head will be the same. We're going to turn the left head all the way down to 0%. The center head all the way up to 100%. And we're going to add one more frame. And we're going to do the same thing for the left. I'm sorry, for the right. It's my left, his right. 100%. Center head, 0%. Okay. Let me just play real quick. And we'll see what happens. Okay. Movement's a little fast. So I need to delay the pitching of the head a bit. So when he gets to here, it should stop for like a good 0.2 seconds. When it gets to the other side, it should stop for 0.2 seconds. And then in between, we'll add a tween. So like I said before, we'll just do 2 layers, just because we're not going to go crazy with this. Did that work? Did I add the 2 layers in the wrong one? I believe I added 2 layers. Maybe not. Hold on. Let's try it again. Oh, previous frame. That's what I did. Okay, undo. There we go. Layer 12. From layer 12 to 13, add tween. make sure you select next frame, not previous frame. Okay. And of course, this looks terrible. Let's see what it looks like fast, though. No delay. No delay. This needs to be... The center head should still be... like that. Let's just boost the center head to 90%. So it's going to look like a blurred frame once I press play. It should look like a blurred frame. We'll see what it looks like. It might be terrible. Oh, no, it looked terrible. Okay, so let's figure out how to do this. Okay. I'm going to make in-between steps myself. That is the easiest way for me to do this. I'm just going to, undo. If I press delete, deletes your layers, not your frames. Let's go to layer 13 is where we want this thing to start. No, I'm sorry, layer 12. So let's delete the layers 13 through 17 by pressing the trash can icon. Otherwise, you delete your actual working layers, which will mess up your document. So I've got the center head right here. And thanks for that quote there. We've got the center head, and we want it to go to the left, and then we want it to go to the right. So I'm just going to make another in-between head. So let's see. Let's turn off the left head. Let's make the right head turn on. Turn that off. Center head. So layer. Let's just add a layer. No delay. I'm sorry, that will stay on 0.5 seconds. This next one's going to be a no delay. Right now, okay, we got the center head. I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to turn on the head that's tilted to the right. And what I'm going to do is just make an in-between, make my little in-between layer. Don't appear to see it. Doesn't seem to be. Oh, it's 0%. There we go. So we could probably tilt it a little more. So you see how it's looking? It's looking a little more complicated. It's not. It's very rudimentary in terms of what we're doing, but I should have done more in between states because you can't rotate. When you transform the object in the layer, it doesn't count as it doesn't count, right? In terms of like a transition or a transformation. So like if I work in After Effects, you could totally rotate something and it'll save the state that it's rotated in. But in Photoshop, in this mode that I'm working right now, it doesn't do that. I think you can do that in the other mode, right here. But we're not working in that mode right now. And I'll come back to this mode another time. There we go. So at layer 12, 13, we've got these different states that have started. So he's got his head goes to the side. And then we're going to make his head go back the other way. So he's all the way to the left here. So we're going to just play this in reverse, but we still need an in-between for the right head. That's opacity set to 0. Here we go. So that's the right head, right? Let's duplicate. bring that point of origin down to the neck. Now it's looking really crazy because I got all these heads on. But these are all of the different states, right? So it's going to go from center to a little bit. This can go ahead and be on 100%. This can be 0. Okay. And I got to turn this one. This one needs to be turned off at the beginning. There we go. Layer 12, this one can be turned off. Okay. So the way it works, it's the center head. And it's going to go to the left. Then it's going to left further. Then it's going to play backwards. And then it's going to go part way to the right, part way to the right. There we go. See how it's going to, we're going to repeat these frames in a weird loop, right? So we can start that now because I pretty much did the animation just now. Start with the center head. It's 0.5 seconds here. So then within no delay, you will see the center head turn on. I'm going to add a frame. And then this new head's going to turn on, this one's going to turn off, and this one in the back's going to turn off. I'm going to add a frame. And then it's going to go backwards. So this head's going to turn on, this one's going to turn off. Add a frame. And then center's going to turn back on, this one's going to turn off. Right, so you can already see it down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got the head turned on. Here we go. Center, side, side, back, back. Add a frame. Since he's back on the center, turn that one off. Add a frame. There we go. That's the side-to-side head movement I wanted. So let's play it real quick. It's going to go fast because I haven't adjusted the timing. Lights up. Side to side, kind of, kind of derpy. The head goes way too low right here. This to there is way too low. So I need to adjust this one. Move it up just a bit. There we go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. Side to side. And then we'll go back again. So it's going to be a little confusing. Repeat. New frame. Back to center. New frame. A little bit to the side. Oops, wait, that's the wrong one. This one. New frame. Oops. Turn off that center layer. Turn off the center. Center. Side. This should be all the way to the side. Turn off. And we'll loop it back one more time. New frame. New frame. New frame. New frame. And then new frame. New frame. Center. And instead of turning on the center frame, I'm going to go ahead and no, yeah, I'll keep the center frame here. Normal. Okay, so it should be on the center. So we're going to add a color dodge layer, and this is actually going to mess up everything. So I'm going to keep the color dodge layer at 0%. You go all the way back to the beginning of this little timeline here. Frame 1. The color dodge layer added right here. Color dodge. Blending options. Okay. And 0%. There we go. So there's a color dodge layer. And I just need to make his eyes glow a little more. So I've got like a soft brush here. I'm just going to hit that right in the eyes. Oh, it's at 0%, remember? Keep it up to 100. And we'll add like some yellow. Yeah, the yellow is better, I think. Okay. Let's check frame 1 real quick. The last frame should have the eyes start glowing. So we'll add a frame in between here where the head just kind of comes here, and then 0.5 seconds. We'll do a tween in between. Next frame, all layers, 2 frames, click, 2. There we go, that's it. That should be good. Now, this timing might be a little weird, but let's just take a look at what it looks like. Press play. Animation turned on once, forever. Play. Okay, there's one moment that I'm really not liking. His head really dips. Right there. Dips way too low. So there. It drops quite a bit. Let's move that up. Yeah, the second head bob is low again. Let's see what it looks like now. There we go. Yeah, that's it. Okay, great. All right, there we go. There's our animation. So now I have to export this. I'm also noticing that my glowing symbol appears to be on too early. What's up with that? It's 25%. It should be at 0%. There we go. $75%. Now it should be at 100%. So it goes from 0 to 100. There we go. Just double check real quick. Boom, 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 boom. Glow, stop, loop. There we go. Simple enough. All right, so we're stopping the timeline. There's probably a good way to export this. The way I know how to do it is to export save for web parentheses legacy. And it's going to pull up this little window. We're going to set the parameters to this guy, and we'll almost be done. Now his quality is gonna go down by quite a lot. Right now he is like super big. He's like 2,500 pixels tall, so he's like way too big. So we're gonna make him a maximum of like 350 pixels. Let's go ahead and go up to like 700. Okay. And let's see here. We'll press play. Looks to be going a little slow. I don't know why it's going so slow. It looks a lot slower than what we just saw, right? Let's go ahead and these colors here, I could limit the color palette a lot more. 32. We'll probably keep it at 32, just because we need to make him pretty small. But let's cancel this because he is going fairly slow. Let's turn off all the delay maybe. The delays I'm turning off. I'll stop them at key points like here. This one could be good to have a delay. 0.1 second. And then right here, no delay. It appears to have added 0.3 seconds to all my delays. But I don't want any delay. I want 0 seconds. 0 seconds. This can stay at 0.2 seconds. And then 0, 0, 0. That's weird. So it is kind of slow there, but we'll see what it looks like now. Let's just save the document real quick, just because we did all the work. We wouldn't want to lose it now. Export, save for web legacy. Let it load. Okay. We had him at 700. Let's do 750. Give it a moment. Give it a moment. There we go. Let's turn the GIF to 32. No dither or dither. Let's do a dither. Transparency's on. That sucks, one punch. That would be so terrible. Selective? What's perceptual? Not perceptual means. Oh, okay, it's the colors. So here's restrictive, so it restricts my color palette. Let's just press play, see what it looks like. It does look a little slow, but I think it's okay. It'll be fine. This is the first one. We'll do others. Let's see. That's restrictive. Let's do adaptive. Adaptive does look a little nicer. Selective. Selective looks good. And then perceptual. let's stick with perceptual. No transparency dither. Let's do a noise transparency dither. Web snap 0%? What if I turn that to 100%? Oh, snaps it to like web colors. Let's do that to 0. I don't think I want it to snap to that. Let's see here. Animation. Let's stop the animation. And we'll save this now. Save. We're going to go into my illustration folder, Twitch, and we're going to call that Teddy. We'll just call it Teddy GIF under alerts. Save. Okay. Now we're going to open up the Twitch alerts page. Not that, but this one. Where'd it go? Is that it? Okay, here it is. Twitch alerts here. Okay, so right now I got the penguin. Guys, it's the penguin kind of doing like a belly rub. We'll eventually do a cooler animation. It's going to be like, it's going to have like a turning and everything. I got this audio that says groovy. So we're going to upload this GIF. Upload an image. Teddy GIF. See what it does. Hopefully it's not going to be like, this is way too big. Oh, look, it's working. Perfect. Select. It says no image, even though I did select my Teddy. There we go. Awesome. So now, if I save this, we should hear a test my alerts. There we go. One more time. How much animation have I done in the past so far? Lots of the animation is for UI design at work. So I'm designing like the movement of a menu. But some of the menus we've done are kind of have like a 3D look to them. So I'm designing like what the final 3D components would look like, right, as they move. But that's kind of like the extent of what I've done. So right now I'm doing the minimum I need for this. The next thing I do is going to be like a full animation, and it's going to be a learning experience. So we're going to learn how to like sketch out this idea. Like it'll be a new Twitch alert, right? So I'll do a new one where he like fully moves and walks, like a walk cycle. And he'll be like kind of like bobbing back and forth, right? The walk cycle. Hello, Chucky the Clown 11. Chucky the Clown 11. Thanks for joining me. Let's get this thing going. So let's get this Twitch alert set up here. Right now, I'm only doing the follow. I think the hosts right now is still the zombie dude. Let's go ahead and just for now, let's just switch it to the Teddy, just so I can make it all kind of custom. And a lot of child play sequels. Hey kids. Let's see. This is the what is this? This is the effect that's someone's hosting me, right? So I downloaded some audio. Let's see here. Is anybody out there? Does that work? There we go. So if someone hosts, it should say, oops, I gotta update the save settings. Let's do it again. If someone hosts me, it should say, yeah, the audio doesn't make too much sense with the current animation. Let's try another one. Join us. Let's save that setting. Try it now. Test hosting alert. There we go. Okay, so we've got the hosting will currently, until we get new mascot. And then if I get a follow, okay, it'll have that, right? And we'll add more characters as we go. But I'll do them live on Twitch so y'all can see how the process works. But we've got a good thing set up now. I've got to figure out how to add it now. So this is where the chat people tell me like, hey, click this instead. Let's see here. How to. So I've got that saved. It says here, choose the URL below in a OBS Classic, OBS Studio. I'll just click that. I probably shouldn't have shown that on stream, but you know. Let's see what happens. Let's see here. We do not know how to do this. Studio mode? Nope, nope, nope. Let's turn off studio mode. Sources. Browser source? That must be it, right? Click. Alerts. Okay. So, open, paste. Okay. So my alerts. Who is rage typing? That is Josephine.
I'm not even pressing that many buttons.
Let's try out Josephine.
Rage healing.
She's rage healing, guys. Let's test an alert, see what happens, right? Oh, there he goes. He popped up here in the corner. Great. So let's move him to this right corner. I'm going to switch back to I'm going to turn off the display capture, turn on my Photoshop capture. So y'all can see this a little better. So I'm thinking he'll pop up right here. Let me do one more test. Yeah, it seems to be working, right? Maybe you'll make him, I'll switch up the style. Save. For the follows, switch up the style. Save. We're not going to worry about subscriptions or donations yet. We'll do that kind of stuff later. Okay, follow. Okay, there we go. So is that, I guess the top left should be a good area for him. And lastly, I need to do a quick screen grab because we're going to do an overlay now. screen grab. Wrong file. Here we go. Selection. Oops. Cancel that. Capture selection. Now we'll worry about an overlay in a second. Okay. Let's just do the hosting alert. Great. Okay. That's good. That's working. He's there now. I don't know what his name is. We'll figure out a name later. Follow. Join. Okay, so that'll be good for now. That's better than we had, which was nothing. That's set up. It's working.
They're not seeing it yet, right?
No, I did a test. They see the tests.
Yeah, but they can't see it.
No, it's on the stream.
Huh.
It's there. That's just the power of Macintosh OBS.
You don't have to have the pop-up window open. Oops, I didn't realize the game started.
You're failing your team.
I'm the healer.
Okay, let's get the layout started. Overlay. Okay. We'll get the overlay taken a look at in a second. I'm pulling it up now, and so we'll switch that so y'all can see it. Let's close off the bear. Saved him. So that's our GIF file. Close that. We can close this big video timeline. We don't need that anymore. I don't know what's up with my my cursor. Don't know why it that didn't work. Photoshop. There we go. Let's add the cursor maybe. Let's just do I think it's image. Not image. What is it? Source. Window capture. Does that work? Can you see my cursor? No, you can't see my cursor. No, yeah, I don't know why the cursor doesn't appear on my. Oh, here it is. Stupid cursor. That doesn't help. There's my cursor. Let's delete that source. We don't need that. Remove. So yes. Looks like there's some properties here I haven't messed with. Maybe I can turn that on. Perhaps not. Well, let's not worry about that now. I'll figure out a way to make sure the cursor stays on because it really impedes like tutorials if I can't show you the actual cursor. Let's see here. Okay. I'm going to turn back on display capture just because it is pretty hard to see what's going on. And what we're going to do is I'm going to get this layout finished and we'll crop the yeah, the cursor is huge. We'll crop out the image though. That's my cursor, yes. Here we go. So we got display capture on. Like I said, you can see the chat right now, but we'll get this overlay done. So here's my screen capture from earlier. I'm just gonna select edit, copy. We'll add a new document, paste. Let's adjust our image size. So let's go ahead and make it, what is it, 1080? It should be 1920. Okay. It's actually really small because we're on a 5K monitor. So we'll boost it up and we'll downscale it. One Punch Man. Yeah, hopefully you learned something. I'll be uploading this video to YouTube. So if anyone wants to catch the full thing later. Thanks for joining me though. Let's see here. Ratio. $19.20, 1080. There we go. Okay, 16 by 9. There we go. So I'm just going to adjust it so that we are cropping out the parts that shouldn't be visible. That should be good. Okay, we're going to add a layer. This layer, I'm going to add a second layer, and we're going to fill it with white, DXG, and we're going to turn this white layer down to like, 27%, just because I just want a little bit of a barrier between what we're building on top of and what we're seeing. We're just going to make that the background. And then on this new layer, I'm going to select out the regions that I know are going to be the overlay. So this whole section here, I'm going to hold Shift. I've got the marquee tool. You can press M for the marquee tool. And I'm just selecting the areas that I believe we need to cover up. And I could probably let this part bleed over a little bit. I could adjust it later. But I'm going to go ahead and put in like 10% black, 10% 10% white technically, but in terms of the value, we're doing a 10% here. Press G, and I'm just going to fill that up. Deselect. So there we go. That's our base shape right there. Right now, I've kind of got this thing on my channel. I'm sure y'all noticed. It's like this, like everything's got like the stone gray kind of look. Oops, hit that wrong thing. So it's like this, it says portfolio. It's kind of got like a stone, kind of granite, whatever you want to call it, look here. That is what I've got as my kind of my theme, right? So we're going to kind of run with that. Let's go back to Photoshop. And on my banner idle, you can kind of see it's the same kind of stone texture. So I'm going to recreate that as my basics of like what this looks like currently. We'll update this overlay, as time progresses. We're going to add a clipping layer, and we're going to set this to screen. And I'm just going to take the same color I used down below. I'm going to pull up my brushes, and I'm just going to find this really textured brush. It doesn't matter which one you choose. I'm just going to start layering the texture. And this brush is all set to like opacity to pin pressure, so it's just kind of getting a feel for this. It's like using a paintbrush. I'm just kind of dabbing it here and there, seeing what it looks like. That looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and add a multiply clipping layer, so it will have like this kind of vignette, but it's like a really textured vignette. And I'm going to tone this down a bit. Right? And let's just crank that down to like 50% for now. Just because we're going to build up some layers here. Let's do a screen clipping. This is all the same 10% gray, but because we're layering it, we got this good depth where we're going to kind of like slowly build up. And turn that down a little bit, and then multiply clipping. Shrink it down. Shrink it down. I'm holding shift to make the straight lines. Okay, and now just a quick one pass. Now tone this down quite a bit because this is pretty intense. There we go. And now I'm going to create an overall gradient that makes it go pretty dark towards the bottom. So I'm going to add a multiply layer, press G for the gradient tool, and I've got, like, if you notice up here in the top bar, it's like this side-to-side gradient. Hold shift, drag up, let go, and it pulls that gradient up. I'm just going to tone that down a bit too, because I want some subtle transitions here. Okay, let's collapse all these into the layer 2 by Command E. You merge, turn it off just so I can see what's going on here. So I've got the window for my Twitch alerts right here. So I'm kind of wanting to put like a little border. Like there's a little border that'll be here that, you know, it'll make sense once the guy pops up because you'll see him framed. So let's go ahead and add that little border. And then we're going to move this information, Instagram, www.mcii.net, and then all this like this music info. It's all going to be here to the right. And eventually, if I turn on my camera, we'll have the camera on over here at some point, one of these areas. But I want to create these little units that like I can kind of customize. So let's use the marquee tool to select this red square here. I'm going to add new layer, and we're just going to select that red square. Okay, turn on the layer below, and I'm just going to fill it with like 50% gray, just to give me something to work with. So deselect. So I've got the correct cube here. V. I'm just going to center it a little better, because what I want to do is once I load the overlay, I'm going to reposition my Twitch alert.
I have to pee so badly.
Well, I hope all y'all heard that. Josephine has to pee.
Sudden death right now.
And then finishing my absinthe. Okay. So here's the dude. He's going to pop up right there. Let's see what happens if I just turn this to multiply. You're in sudden death. This is looking okay. Let's try screen. Too bright. Let's tone it down a bit. So I'm thinking we'll turn it to multiply, and we'll just tone it down a tiny bit to like here, like level, like 30% fill. And I'm going to add a little bit of a beveled edge just around this square. So if like I said before, command click the thumbnail, you're going to select that square here. I'm going to add new layer. I'm going to press DXG, and what I've done is I selected black and white, I switched it to white, then I selected the gradient tool, and I'm just going to fill that up with white. And now I'm going to go down to my effects and add bevel and emboss. And it says right here, style, inner bevel. I want it to do, yeah, I'll keep it inner bevel. I do want it to go down. So let's turn this to like, I don't know, 30% gray here. We'll keep the screen up. And technique smooth. Smooth is okay. And there we go. Press OK. You know what? Now that I'm looking at it, you can't really see the top bevel because it's white. Let's go ahead and just press Command U and just tone this down to like 50% gray or so. It's okay if we're not exact. So you've got this little gray, like, it's pretty much this little gray beveled thing. And I'm just going to turn it to overlay. It doesn't read as a bevel going inward. So at this point, I'm wondering if I just want to paint it myself. Let's tone it down. And now you're noticing that, hopefully you're noticing that as I turn down the fill, the layer effect does not change. But if I do affect the opacity, the layer effect changes. So there's one of the differences between opacity and fill. The fill does not affect your actual layer effects, but the opacity does. Let's adjust the lighting. So if you got the bevel on, you can go in here to this little like says shading and it says angle, and I can adjust the way that lighting is coming in. I want it to kind of come in from 90 degrees. Basically, it's top-down light. Press OK. Yeah, it looks a little more like there's something, like you kind of like the light's coming from above. So now let's command click that layer again. So it's going to select my square. Let's add a new layer. And let's inverse my selection. Shift Command I. So it's inversed. I'm just going to select this gray here, fill the entire layer, deselect, set it to screen. And I'm going to go ahead and this layer down here, layer 8, is my L shape for the overlay. Command click that, go back up to here, and I'm going to go down and mask it. So the mask is now on. You can see kind of the L shape. Yeah, I might have to paint it now. Painting it will make it look cooler in the end. I will touch it up with some paint just because it will make it look pretty sweet. I'm toning it down to 20%, 24% opacity or fill, and it just kind of gives that depth. Like it looks like this is recessed more, right? You kind of believe it. It's like, okay, that's more of a recessed square. And to further sell that, I'm going to go ahead and select that same thing again, add new layer, and I'm just going to set it to screen, and we're going to fill it in with the light. And we'll just erase this top and make a slight gradient. So the idea is that the light is hitting, and this is recessed, so there's a little bit of a lip that's being created that's causing the light to kind of skip over and create a little drop shadow. And we're going to tone it down a bit. So we're just trying to sell that it's kind of like it's a little chunk carved into the granite. Okay. So that's where my little alert guy is going to pop up, right? And now, is that your teeth?
Sorry about the noises. It's gonna be weird.
Okay. I'm not going to answer what that was exactly.
What? No, that makes it worse.
Yeah, I guess it does sound worse. She was biting into a fruit, and it like sounded really loud. It was like a. Where am I doing? Okay, so let me turn off this overlay down below. And so, like I said, I need the Instagram and the www.mcii.net. I'm probably going to just commit that to my overlay so that I no longer have to have that on in OBS. So let's go ahead and just add that stuff in right now in Photoshop because there's no reason that I would need to have it, So T for the text tool, and I'm just going to create a nice little text box. My fonts, everyone's got their own like font they use. my favorite guy to buy fonts from is Hydro74. He's got some awesome fonts. Let's see here. Legacy of Defeat. If you want some cool fonts, I highly recommend legacyofdefeat.com. He also has vector images. And I own most of these fonts, right? So there's really sweet looking, like, they have awesome names like Fucktura, Go Fuck Yourself, Prison Bitch, Thunder Pussy, Zombie Attack. These are awesome, right? Anyway, those are where I get my fonts, if you're wondering. Let's see here. I'm not going to use any of those fonts right now. I just wanted to let y'all know where I get my cool fonts. We're not actually going to use that. Let's create a nice little text box. And this is my website, www.mciii.net. Select all, center that stuff, and let's just crank it up to 70%, 72%. Whoa, it's way too big. 18%. That looks pretty good. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, too dark. Let's make it this off-white because I like to have it this gray color here. Yeah, so those fonts, the great thing about those is that you can use them for whatever you want. Commercial use or whatever. Like, you don't have to just use them for personal stuff, right? So, like, the licensing is important when you buy a font. So if you're going to spend money on a font, buy the license to use it for whatever. Most of the time, fonts are really expensive because somebody's licensing you the right to use their font. That's just how it works. So, you know, just what happens. Oops, I just deleted my text. Well, let's just retype it. www.mciii.net. The problem with this font is that the III looks kind of like LL. It could be LLL, but I'm pretty sure people get with this Roman numeral I. But anyway, Instagram MC Mike 086, and let's go ahead and capitalize all this. And I'm going to go ahead and make all this a lot smaller. Just go to like 24. Let's go even smaller, like 18. Alk, yeah, no, like really good fonts. They look like they really do step up your design, whatever you're working on. So it's really worth buying them. It really does like make you go from like amateur to professional once you like have invested in a few good fonts. Like, but you got to need to do it. You know, you don't need to like. No one needs to go out and drop like $1,000 in a font or anything. You could find some different ones. Are you planning on having a face cam? And you have that space in the corner. Yeah, I might have the. I think the space in the bottom corner would be the face cam, if I end up doing that. I probably will in the future, but it would be for like certain occasions when I'm really just talking, and if I'm just gonna have music playing, I won't have the face cam on. But the face cam changes up a lot of things because then it means like, you know, anyone in the apartment, well, really just my roommate, my girlfriend, like they suddenly had to like watch out, you know, if they don't want to be in the scene behind, you know, it makes for like weird moments, you know. Like I don't like to go on to Josephine's camera when she's streaming because then you become an item in the background. You become like, you become a thing on the stream, right? You become like one of the background things that people just comment on, and that's not something I want to be known for. It's just like being the guy in the background, kind of, you know. Anyway, Instagram, Smike0. Okay, Twitter. Let's just go ahead and go through all my social networks here. Twitter, it's Miguel CORONADO III. Oh no, it's 3. That's not looking too good. Let's space that out a bit. And I think I have it all on my actual channel. But I like the idea that it's going to save out on the screen, because then, you know, people can see it on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. But I kind of want it to all look like this. So let's go ahead and just make that Instagram, Twitter. I think that's enough. I'm not going to put ArtStation, all that other stuff. It's all linked to my actual channel. It's linked to my website. You don't need to, if you want to find my ArtStation, you can go to my website and it links to my ArtStation. Or you could just type in my name in Google and it'll come up with my ArtStation. Yeah, no, I do want to keep that space reserved for like the face stuff eventually. I will put my logo in. So I got this extra layer I'm going to delete here. Oops, selected the wrong layer. Got to make sure I got the right layer. I'm just going to give it a little bit of space, a little bit of a buffer right there, because it's a little too close. And then I'm going to add my logo by clicking my action. It automatically adds my logo. So my logo will be in the, you know, it'll be right here in the meantime. There we go. And let's go ahead and do some cool effects with logo maybe. So if I press Command and click the thumbnail, I select the logo. I'm going to add a new layer. And I'm just going to put in 50% gray like I've done before. The reason I'm doing 50% gray is because it's just a good tone to fill in with. It's not going to distract too much. And for right now, I'm just trying to figure out like spacing and whatnot. Let's go ahead and pull the same frame we have up here. All this stuff, we're going to go ahead and duplicate that. I feel comfortable on camera. It's just going to be like for me to be on camera, it's going to be a lot more of like, I'm going to stream now. I got to prep, like, I'm not just going to like wake up out of bed and stream. You know, like I'm going to have to like comb my hair, put a hat on, you know, like it's not going to be this easy. It's just like, oh, I'm going to just get online right now. It's not as fluid, or like it's just, you know, instantaneous, you know, like on the fly. I could decide I'm going to stream, right? But once you have the camera, you have to consider things like, okay, what's behind me? What do I want my backdrop to kind of look like? I guess the main thing I'm trying to say is I'm going to want the camera on, and I want it to look like it's like a professional setup. And right now I'm not in that space where it's going to look professional. You're going to see the big bear that we have that we're trying to get rid of. So you're going to end up seeing that behind us. And I say get rid of it. I mean, we're trying to donate it to like a library or a nice little location. But essentially, it's getting rid of it, right? I mean, we're not going to lie. It's going to be not with us, so let's not beat around the bush. We're getting rid of it. And I don't want that to be associated with like my brand, like the big bear behind me while I sit and stream and like draw horrible monsters. Like, you know, like there's a giant teddy bear behind me. It could be really funny though too. So here's, okay, second window. Let me just make sure I stay on track with this. Adjust this a bit. And let's just set this to multiply who that looks like. Screen. Let's do overlay. Oh wait, overlay. Okay, if you have 50% gray, overlay, it doesn't show up. So don't ever use 50% gray on these. On most of these little layer modes in the middle, it doesn't do anything. It has to be above or below 50% gray. And if you're doing linear burn or color burn, you can go to fill, and it will affect your layer differently than if you went to opacity. Just so y'all know. Let me duplicate this layer. set it to overlay, like I just said. It's not going to affect anything because it's set to overlay. I'm going to go ahead and add bevel and emboss again. And this time, instead of it inner bevel, I'm going to switch it to outer bevel. And I've got technique on smooth. I'm going to put a chisel hard, and then I'm going to put the size down quite a bit. There we go. And soften. I'm going to keep it kind of softer. There we go. I get two pixels. Depth. Depth isn't really showing up too much. Definitely make it go down to okay. Okay, we got the symbol there, the logo. Let me think about it. I don't know if I like that. We might want to have it looking like it's glowing, just because I think that looks cool. And also it kind of makes sense with the whole teddy bear. So let's turn that off. Well, let's keep that on. We'll duplicate it one more time. This time we'll turn off this effect, and we'll turn it to normal. So what you're seeing here, if I zoom in, we've got a beveled logo with the same logo on the inside, and it's set to normal. So it looks like the gray is inside the chiseled part. So now I can switch this color by pressing Command U. If you click Colorize on the hue and saturation adjustment, it'll automatically overlay a color. And I'm going to go ahead and stick with like a kind of like a red-orange. Just for the sake of this first overlay, we'll keep it kind of a red-orange. I'm going to bump up the saturation a bit, and the lightness is okay. So now I got red, my red logo, and we can add a glowing effect by going to the effects. There's an outer glow, and there's an inner glow. If I click inner glow, you'll notice these different attributes I can adjust. So let me turn off the bevel and emboss. You're trying to eat quietly? Oh, you're not? The inner glow. Blend mode, we want that to be color dodge. And right now I've got the source is the edge. So if I were to up the choke, why isn't that showing up? It doesn't appear to be showing. Oh, my layers are turned off. Let me press OK. Turn that off. There we go. Turn that. Okay. My inner glow is like now it's like way too high. There we go. So you'll see that I've got like there's like an inner glow occurring from the edges of my logo, and I'm adjusting it according to this little size bar here. I don't want the glow to come from the outside. I want the glow to come from the inner source of the logo. So I'm going to switch it from edge to center. Now you'll notice that it's mostly white because it's creating this glow effect. There we go. I'm just going to press OK. Now what I'm noticing is that it's not entirely selling that look, so we can adjust the color. We'll get like an orange yellow. It's okay. Adjust the choke a bit on this. The choke is going to limit the spread, so the spread of the actual glowing effect. And then we'll keep that right there. It's okay. All right, so now at this point, I'm pretty happy with everything that's going on here. I do think we should adjust the text. Press V, because you'll notice that the text looks a little closer to the bottom square than it does to the top square. And I want that to be a little more evenly spaced by just nudging it upwards. So now we might want, let me just test out what it looks like to have a little bit of a line here, like a little stroke. So I'm going to select the color of the text, press U to select the line tool, and I want it, if you go up here, the line tool says path, I want it to be pixels. And if I just make the line, you'll notice this big, chunky, ugly line. One, I'm on the wrong layer, so let me undo those 3 marks. So let's add new layer. 2, if you don't want the line to be so chunky, you can adjust the line weight. So I'm going to make it 2 pixels. And hold shift to make it a straight line. So I'm just adding this little like spacer stroke here. And I could maybe turn it to multiply, see what that looks like. It's alright, it's not great. I set to overlay, it looks okay. Let's duplicate that, see what it looks like. Let's undo that. Let's duplicate it, turn it to screen, and now I'm going to turn on the mask and we're just going to paint out some of it. We still got the textured brush from earlier, which is fine. We don't need it to be perfect. There we go. So it's just like a nice little like spacer stroke there. So these 2 layers of that stroke effect. So I should be able to collapse them, and you notice it doesn't do anything. It lost the effect we had. So I'm going to have to duplicate it by first putting them into a folder. If I click the folder icon, it automatically puts them into that folder. So we'll call this line. And I'm just going to press V, hold down Option. You'll see that when I hold down Option, my cursor doubles up. That means I'm about to make a copy. So hold down Option, hold Shift, and just pull down. That's the same exact folder I just made, and I'm going to duplicate it. And it'll even tell me when I've spaced it out the exact amount that I've spaced it out above the text. Oops, I think I just messed it up. Let me do that one more time. So it's Option, okay, V for the move tool, Option Shift, pull down, and you're going to see it pop up. Whoop, there it was. That means it's evenly spaced. Let go. Evenly spaced, spacer marks there, and the actual glow, we're going to go ahead and doctor that up a little bit too. So now we're going to take everything that you see here, including the background, the little L shape. We're going to hold Shift, click the bottom. All my layers are selected. I'm going to press the folder button. Now they're all in one folder, and I'm going to call this overlay. Press Enter. I'm going to go ahead and label it red for the sake of just making clear what's going on here. And now I'm going to save my file because I haven't saved anything yet, which is a terrible idea to wait this long. And I'm going to go to my illustration, my Twitch folder, my alerts. I'm just going to save it my alerts. So we're going to call this overlay dash July 2015. No, 16. Oops. 2016. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to doctor up my overlay with a little bit of like painting. So like if I turn it off, you see what we've got going here. There's still not a space for my music. I'll probably end up putting the music down here somewhere, where you can, if I am playing music, you can see who I'm listening to. And I understand that there's like an app that tells you like the current music that's playing, so people can see what you're listening to. And I'll probably get that on my stream eventually. So between the overlay layer and my background layer, let's just rename this BG for background. Add layer. I'm going to just add a little bit of like a beveling look right here to the side. So I'm going to select this gray that's right here, and I'm going to switch my brush to just like a regular old round brush, and I'm just going to run that brush up to the edge by holding Shift, and I'm going to do the same thing to the side. So it's just a slight bevel. And now we're going to add a clipping layer, and I'm going to set that clipping layer to screen, and we're just going to add the lighting in. I'm just doing this manually just because, why not? Okay, add that in. This is a slight lighting. I'm going to go ahead and tone it down just a little bit. All right, Press E to collapse that in, and I'm going to press V. I'm just going to make that bevel a little bit more even. And now you'll notice that this top part's exposed. So if I take my marquee tool, select it, Command T, and just pull it straight up, it'll cover that up. Deselect with it. Command D, or you go to select, deselect. So there we go. So I got like a nice little beveled edge to that overlay, and I am noticing that because I moved it down a bit, the corner is a little off, so I'm going to come back in here and fix that real quick. There we go. Okay, so we got that going. Now we're going to do some embellishment painting. So over this overlay, I'm just going to click Add New Layer, and I'm going to use this highlight color to add some maybe cracking effects by just coming in here with a regular plain brush and painting in the cracks myself. Right. So if the second color, if I switch, it's black. So if I change this to screen, you'll see the crack kind of appear a little more. I'm going to tone that down a bit. It might not work actually. Let's just keep it on normal. I thought of an easier way to do this, but let's just go ahead. We're just going to paint this in manually, and if we need to adjust anything, we're going to go ahead and just like erase it out. So there we go. We're going to paint these little cracks in. It's okay if they're not 100% correct right away, because I'm going to go in and fix them up with the eraser tool. And likewise right here. Just remember that all the points that are lighter are supposed to be facing up towards the top of the screen, because our light source is kind of coming from above. So we have to keep that in check. Like, we got to remember that the whole time we do this. And we'll even go onto this edge here and hit that bevel. And now if I go over, it's okay, because we're not going to worry about that. And this background, at this point, I'm going to go and add new layer. Press D. I'm just going to cover that up. So we're just looking at the overlay at this point. So any of these little cracks that go over the edge, we're going to clean that up at the end. And it's okay if it's not 100% perfect. And I just realized I put the wrong color just now, so let's pick that same highlight color here, and I'm going to come in here and just add that cracking effect. Okay. Cracking effect. Like I said, we're still going to go back and fix it up more. I'm just putting in the initial marks. And then same thing for like down here. Maybe right here, cracks from the logo. And so a few of them over here. Let's take this highlight and just add a few of these little marks. Okay. That's looking okay. And it's looking okay. Maybe one more here. That's looking not terrible. Okay, now let's flip it over. Got the eraser. Make sure my eraser is not this soft thing. I'm gonna do this angled eraser. And this angled eraser is gonna help me kind of like get that chiseled feeling I want for these marks. There we go. We're just gonna clean up all these little marks I made. This is gonna make them look a little more subtle. Whoa, what was that? I just heard it. Somebody just followed. Let's see what happened. I'm watching the delay. Unicron, thanks for following. I'm glad that you got to see. You're the first person that got to see the little teddy bear creepy dude pop up. Awesome. That's so cool. All right, cool. I'm gonna make more of those guys. So there'll be a different one for each action. There'll be one for whenever you host me, and there'll be a one for eventually subscriptions and for donations, like a different character and a different audio. But yeah, if you're joining me just now and you haven't heard the spiel from the beginning, if you have any questions about Photoshop painting that aren't related to what I'm doing right now, just let me know. Because right now we're going into this like tedious CS C Spider MX. Thank you for following. Um, if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask them in the chat because we're about to get into this little tedious portion where I'm just going to sit here and like chisel out these cracks, and it's a good time to address some things. Yeah, I'm glad it looks great. Like it's cool because if you just joined in and didn't see the beginning, we got through animating that bear like not 30 minutes ago, right? Or however long it took. So it's very. Oh, someone else. Who is this? Is everyone clicking it now? Nicholas Gatto. Hey, man, what's up? Thanks for following. Okay. Just cleaning up all those little cracks. Let's see. What is there to talk about now? Well, as I do these marks, like I said before, I'm thinking about the direction the light's coming from. So everything should be facing upward. That's kind of the idea. Like all the light parts are facing above. So I'm just cleaning up anything that isn't necessarily facing upward. So it's not receiving the same kind of light. And in this case here too, these cracks would be a little darker because they are under that drop shadow. So you gotta remember that, right? The same for this here. There we go. Now, look, this isn't, I'm not trying to make this look completely perfect. It doesn't need to like be like 100% photoreal or anything, but I do want it to look fairly decent. Because I'm trying to be an art streamer here. So I gotta have an actual cool overlay if I'm gonna be an art streamer. Like, and ideally it's one I made myself, right? Because I'm sitting here using Photoshop every day, so. If someone that streams art doesn't have a cool overlay, then who does? Okay, so and these overlays will change. So eventually, like what I would have done is I would have set up a really cool overlay for Halloween, but I'll be out of town, out of country most of the month of October. So I won't really be streaming as much because I'll be in Europe. Otherwise, I would totally do like a Halloween overlay, but we'll do a Christmas overlay. And we'll theme it out really sweet too, for some kind of like cool Christmassy kind of thing. Jay Marsh, what's up? Okay, this is looking good. I'm gonna go ahead and go down to this. What is it? The overlay here. This layer is the actual overlay background. So if I command click that, and then I go to this. So these two lines here are the bevel, right? So if I could shift command click, and it'll add that to my selection. So now I go up to these little cracks I just painted, turn on the mask, and you'll see that the edge disappear, right? And I can go ahead and turn down the opacity of these cracks quite a bit. I don't need them to be so prominent. Okay. And lastly, this one right here is looking a little too
a little too spicy.
There we go.
So it's a subtle effect that I'm adding on.
I'm not. This overlay is not supposed to distract from what's going on the actual screen, right? So like, I can't have the cool looking cracks in the overlay distract from the actual live event that's happening. Now let's add a little bit of shadow. Let's add this add layer. Because I already used this mask here, I can actually command click the mask. It's going to add that selection. So then I could just add the mask there, and this is going to be shadows. So I'm going to set this to multiply, and I'm going to use the exact same gray I just used, but this time, because it's set to multiply, it's going to darken everything.
And I'm just going to run quickly through here and like add in some of this shadow action. But that's not going to look good, so let's do it over here. The shadow would need to be butting up against the highlight because the highlight's facing where the light source is coming, which means the shadow is facing away from the light source. And I'm being really subtle with this. And we'll go in with the mask and actually clean up this little area here. I'm actually going to make it look like it's a little chunks missing. So let's erase. Same thing for like some of these cracks right here. Put the shadow butting up against the highlight because the highlight's facing up, the shadow's facing away. And then same for right here. Shadow's facing away, highlight's facing up. And right here. Okay.
Let's see here. Gotta get this. These little moments down here, which we're going to come in with the masking tool in a bit and make those a little more prominent. Okay. Just add that drop shadow. It's a little bit of a drop shadow is what it is. But like the drop shadow is within the crevice itself, so it's really hard to see. And it's just adding a little bit of like this 3D look. But it's not, you know, we still, like I said, we don't want it so prominent that it's distracting from the actual source material that's happening. And we'll do one right here. Cthulhu Hoopster, 12 whole viewers. It's happening. Yes, it's happening.
How many viewers?
12 whole viewers. Cthulhu Hoopsters. He's Cthulhu Hoopster. I'm assuming you're a he, but if I'm wrong, forgive me. Cthulhu Hoopster's happy because Cthulhu Hoopster and I have had some nights where it's just been me and Cthulhu Hoopster talking about Photoshop. Do I play tabletop games? Yes, I do. My favorite tabletop board game is Arkham Horror, which it just takes forever to play, but I really like it. And it's also like Lovecraftian and whatnot. But... Okay, let's go ahead and do a few more. Few more little shadows here. Let's just erase these. And Cthulhu Hoopster and I have had Cthulhu Hoopster's had private little Photoshop tutorials because it's just me and Cthulhu Hoopster. Those are on YouTube. Okay, the shadows are in place. I'm just going to tone it down, tiny bit, tiniest bit, 80%. Okay, and now I'm going to go back to this overlay. Arkham Horror? Is that what you're asking me? Arkham Horror is really fun. It takes forever to play though, and you normally lose, just because the nature of the game. Okay. So the bevel, everything is inside this overlay folder here. So now what I want to do is add a mask to the folder itself. So everything inside the folder is going to be affected by this mask. So what I want to come in here and I want to like take this little chunk out of this overlay. I got like a cool looking like D&D. I play D&D. I consider that a role-playing game because there's not much going on the table. I play D&D. I play a wizard. I'm a necromancer, which I guess seems obvious at this point if you understand the kind of stuff I'm into. Okay. So I'm switching between black and white, and I'm basically erasing and replacing bits of the edge here. And I don't want it to be too distracting. Just like I keep saying, I don't want it to be like the focus, right? And we're going to upload this whole video to YouTube when we're done. So if you missed it, it's okay. You'll be able to watch on YouTube. Oh, here we go. So right now what I'm noticing is some of the lines, I gotta drag these into this folder now. So that everything's affected by this mask. Are you talking about the sigh that Josephine made? I think he heard the. Oh, Alka said, "Oh, that doesn't sound good." I think he's talking about that because I didn't say anything remotely upsetting about Photoshop just now. Okay. Okay, go in there. Get that little chiseled kind of a broken stone look I've been going for. Okay, and the same thing, there was like a few moments over here I wanted to have that. What's a good homework for someone who wants to start using Photoshop again but hasn't touched it in 10 plus years? You should probably just get the newest version and start playing around in it. I mean, like, if you haven't played around with it in 10 plus years, 10 years, okay. If you're my age, you mean you haven't played around with it since high school. If you're older than me, then it means you played around with some really weird old version, right? Chucky the Clown asks, so Mike, as an artist, you prefer digital or drawing by hand? I love drawing. My sketchbook. I've been drawing all my life. I've got sketchbooks from 6th grade on up till like today. I've been drawing all my life, so I love drawing on paper. But for work, computer's a must because I can just finish these things out so much faster. What is it? Chucky the Clown? No, J Marsh asked me that. J Marsh, you asked me about what to do to practice. Just get the newest version and start playing around with it. If you want to actually, it depends on if you're like doing graphic design or if you're actually trying to draw and paint. If you're trying to draw and paint, just download it and start going. Start trying to draw like every day. Like spend like at least 2 hours trying to draw. And you'll eventually, it'll take about maybe a week or so for you to get used to it again. I'm willing to bet about a week or so. Especially if you used to use it in the past. It was college? Okay. So you're a little older, maybe. Or maybe not. Who knows? But I'm just trying to think of the last version you used. That's really all I'm talking about. Like the last version of Photoshop must have been what, like CS4? 3? CS3? You could get Photoshop fully unlocked for about a month for $10. So, what?
Just jump in. Are you not playing? Okay. I'm almost done here. We'll get this overlay up and then we'll log off, but Josephine's got a call time tomorrow in the morning.
Your mic's really good. It barely picks up anything.
You're not typing anymore. Or did you hear the type? Okay. I'm going to add a little backing, and then I'm going to take this darker gray, and I'm just going to use this to fill in a few of these moments. Let's see here.
Oh, I hear the typing.
J Marsh, like I said, just start drawing every day in Photoshop if you're planning on using it for drawing. If you're doing like other things, I don't know what those other things are, so I guess you need to like let me know. But B, it should be good for you just to make yourself work in it for like a week or two, and you'll pick it up pretty fast. What I'm doing is I'm just going back behind these cracks, and I'm just kind of painting in some like darker gray, just to kind of give it a little bit of like a texture, like a little like background, a little bit of depth. Now I'm gonna go back up to this mask one more time, and I'm gonna switch my brush to this angled brush here, and just get a good chiseled edge on some of these dips and curves. Right here could be a good area for a notch. Now the bevel on this overlay here looks super clean, so I do need to add a little bit of a texture. That won't take long though. Okay. Let's see here. J Marsh, you can also just like start posting your work up immediately. Don't wait to your what?
I said good night.
Well, say good night on the stream. Oh my god. Good night, Josephine. Good night, JCBIM. What else here? Thanks, Alk. I'm glad you think it looks great. I'm just trying to make it look a little more realistic at this point. Let's go ahead and do a test. I'm just gonna see what it looks like to put this like really textured brush right across the edge there. So it's gonna like randomly break up some of that beveling. I don't like it, so let's just not worry about that. I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna do no, I'm not gonna do that. I need to add some texture that kind of bleeds over. Let's do this. Duplicate, merge down. So here's like the flattened. It's the flattened overlay right here. I just merged that down just so I could have a flattened version that I could select. And now I'm just gonna like delete that whole layer. I'm not gonna delete it. I'm just gonna add a new layer here. So I just did that whole thing so I could select this space. And now I'm gonna set this to overlay. And then I'm going to get this really textured brush that I want to use. It's like a spattering of dots. And I'm just going to press D for the black color. And I'm going to hide my selection by pressing Command H. It's going to hide the marquee. And I'm going to run this down the edge here. And it's going to make a random splattering of like texture, right? Let's go ahead and do a little bit on the other parts of this. We're just going to use it to add a little more depth, and I'm also trying to carry a texture from the beveled edge onto the main overlay. Now I'm just going to tone this way down to like 30%. And 32% right there. Now let's do the same thing. Overlay layer, press X to switch to white, and just run the white, the same brush, same layer mode, which is overlay, and now the white specks. So it's just creating a little bit of like a noise. And I will tone that down a lot. I'm actually going to come in here and erase it from like this area. Oops, wrong. For my eraser tool now, since I'm doing a little more subtle changes, I'm going to go ahead and use this really soft brush here. Okay, now let's add multiply layer. It's going to get a little crazy here. Adding a multiply layer, and I'm just going to fill it with a very subtle blue. So it looks really dark, right? Now I'm going to add color dodge, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it on the mask here. So I will now select a slightly warmer color, and I will make a very soft brush selection, and we're going to kind of paint in some lighting. So it looks like we've got kind of like a light shining from above. Oops, my brush is not large enough. Where is it? Why is my brush not appearing? Oh, it's too big. There we go. Oh, let's use the gradient tool for this. D, G. Zoom out and try it again. Okay. See what we got here. We got like a light that's turning on and off here. Let's do one more just like this. Color dodge. I want to save that mask. Put it on here. Now I'm just going to use the white color, just pure white, and we're going to kind of just run that down. Yeah, it looks super blown out, but we're going to fix that by adjusting the fill to like 60%. Okay. So 60% fill. It's almost a little too bright. Let's go ahead and make it 40%. And this color here, if it looks a little too orange for us, we could always press Command U, and then we can, adjust the color. And I'm always partial to blue, just because I like blue colors. So maybe we should stick with the blue, considering the symbol's orange. Okay. So now, we're almost done. I'm selecting this top segment here, and I'm going to add a drop shadow as well as Shift Command click the thumbnail for the bottom segment, and on the very above all this stuff we're going to add a multiply layer, and I'm just going to press the mask button. So every time I press the mask button, it takes whatever selection I have and automatically applies that. So now I can work within the layer and it won't affect anything else. Because the light's blue, we're going to pick like a kind of like this blue color here, and that'll be the drop shadow. So there's the drop shadow. Same for here. There's the drop shadow. I'll tone that down a little bit. Okay, so if we turn it off, you'll see what it's doing. It's adding a little bit of depth. That's all it's really doing. Same thing now. I need to add a little bit of highlight for this bottom, so I'll duplicate this. I'll select everything in the layer, delete it, deselect it. So this is multiply. Let's switch it to screen using the same blue color. Now I'm going to come in on this beveled edge and just run my brush across. And I'm holding shift when I do this. Okay. Now let's just erase, because the light tapers. I got like a big eraser here. I'm going to hold shift and just run that down a little too hard. So let's just do it again, half that pressure. And then I can erase a little more for the bottom. And then right here from the top too, just a tiny bit. Okay, so tone that down 35%. See what I'm doing? Like, it's very subtle. But now we've got this really cool looking, like, it's like stone. There's like some kind of light from above. You know, it doesn't make too much sense, but it looks cool, right? I need to drink some water. My throat's getting really dry. Okay. This area over here is pretty dark, but I think that's okay. Let's go ahead and maybe try adding one more light. Color dodge. Select that shape. We'll keep this blue. Press G. Start from the top. Drag. Let go. What does that look like? Might be looking a little derpy now. Let's just tone it down a bit, see what it looks like. 20%. Yeah, it's okay. Let's leave that. Okay. Okay, this is what I'm missing. The symbol needs to glow. We didn't actually add the glow yet. So, color dodge. I'm going to take this red orange from within the actual symbol itself. And now we're just going to take our airbrushy, like our soft round brush here. I'm going to hold shift and just glaze over the symbol. Glaze over the symbol, and then every time I press, I get a little more focused. And then take the yellow, same thing. And now it's pretty overblown. Like I said, we're always going to tone it down. And now since the symbol is glowing, we now have to remember that since the symbol is glowing, there's going to be light emitted from here. So another color dodge layer. This time I'm going to take that same orange red, and I'm just going to run this brush across the top edge. It's going to create a glow. Same thing for below. And same thing for the sides in this case. And the sides aren't beveled. So I can already tell you we're going to have to come in here with black and just like tone down the sides a bit, because the sides aren't beveled edges the way the top and bottom are. And now I'm just going to like glaze over the corners. It's a little too much. Glaze over that corner. Let's do the same here. Same here. So now you see how the symbol's got this glowing effect.
emitted from it. I can tone it down just a tiny bit, just because when the light source is red, it doesn't travel that far. Okay. I think we're done here. I think this is my new overlay. It's a little darker in this area, but I think that's okay because once we add more stuff later, we can always add some more lights. So let's just save this, which I haven't been saving in a while. Okay, and now let's save out a version of this. I gotta turn off the backgrounds, and you'll notice there's that weird gradient going on here. Yeah, there's this weird gradient going on, so we need to select this. I'm going to go ahead and just like, I'm going to commit all these little effects layers to a new folder. I'm going to go ahead and color it green, and we're going to call it effects. Oops, not FW, effects. FX, and now we're going to turn on our mask, and I should be good. Here's the effects layer with nothing else on. Here's what it looks like without the effects layer. I think that's it. I feel like there's something maybe showing up here though. Let me just double check this real quick. No, that's nothing. It's optical illusion. Okay, there's my overlay. So let's save this out. Save one more time, and now save, export. Export as. Let's just do 1920, 1080. Just see what that looks like. Export all. Overlay JPEG. Okay. And now we'll turn this on and see what it looks like, right? OBS. That's not OBS. Here we go. OBS is right here. Let's see. We'll turn on. I'm turning off the display temporarily so I can get this overlay in place. And now we're going to do image. We're going to call it overlay. You can't see this now, I understand that, but it'll be quick. Alerts, overlay. Of course, I saved it out wrong, guys. So, if you can see what I did, you'll notice that my my overlay is saved out as a JPEG. So there's a big white space. So I gotta save my overlay out as a PNG. PNG with transparency. Try that one more time. Okay. All right. Let's update this file with my PNG. There we go. Okay. And there's my overlay. Awesome. I gotta adjust it. No, it's already adjusted. Never mind. Okay. Which means my Photoshop, I can adjust this. I got my overlay. You want to see the overlay real quick? Okay. My music credit can be moved down here now, which needs to go on top. So.
Music by Random Mix.
Well, earlier it was not. I mean, there's no music now, but if you're listening earlier, there was a random mix going on. Now let's do my quick test with my Twitch alerts. Show test alert.
You don't have to have the box open.
This?
You shouldn't have to have that open. Yeah. See it.
Let's see if it worked. I didn't see anything. You sure it didn't work? Oh, wait. I know what it is. My alerts are below my test alert. There he goes. Okay, let me adjust him a bit. This like derpy demonic bear.
Then you gotta make a cool sugar cube gift for me.
Okay. We'll do it on stream. We'll make sugar cube gifts for Josephine.
That'll be a good test for my next GIF. We'll start with Josephine Sugar Cube as a test. Maybe just the sugar cube pouring tea into a cup. That'd be cool.
I was thinking of sugar cubes dropping into the tea.
Just dying.
And burning to death.
There we go. Groovy.
Goodbye.
Alright, I'll give it a second.
Put it in the dryer.
Turn on the dryer.
Put it in the dryer if it's still up.
I'm not going to be up that long. We're talking about laundry stuff. Alright, let's see. The bear looks nice. Awesome. Thank you. I'm glad you like the bear. Let's do it one more time just to double check. Bear shows up, says groovy. And then on my actual Twitch, it should say groovy, 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 groovy. There it goes. Okay. I hadn't actually pulled it up on the my window. All right. So that's everything. So that's what we did today. So just real quick to recap, we started off with making a simple GIF. We threw it into Twitch alerts. And then we went ahead and made an overlay for the channel. And I started off the whole overlay process by selecting my actual OBS screen. So I'm going to turn off all this stuff real quick. Turn on my display capture. So what I did in order to get my overlay going, I'll turn on Photoshop. You'll see there's a Photoshop window here. And I could turn on my overlay. So you should see my actual window within a window. I went to this program on Mac called Grab, and I grabbed the screenshot. But it used to be here. So you can get an idea. Like this screenshot was like, on my OBS. And that's how I started it. So that was something I didn't explain, but I wanted to explain that real quick before we get offline. Let's see here. Wait, did y'all see that? You didn't see it, did you? I just realized you didn't see it. Let me turn it off and try it one more time. Turn off the overlay. I went to my Grab here. It's an app on Apple. It's just you go to utilities, you can access it, and you go to capture selection, and it says like grab whatever part of the screen you want. So I grabbed my OBS here, the screen, and that's how I got my initial image. Right now, it's like a huge mess. There's windows everywhere, but let's turn off the display capture, turn Photoshop back on, turn on my overlay. There we go. So that's there we go. I repeated it. Okay, we're done now. I'm done for today. I got my nice fancy overlay, and we got a nice Twitch alert going. And so soon we'll have some more fun things. We'll do a new animation for when people host me. Right now it's the same. So if I do a host test, it does the join us and it pops up right there, right? That's from Evil Dead, by the way, if you don't know what that is. The movie Evil Dead. And then the Groovy's from Evil Dead 2. He doesn't say it in the first one. Yeah, so that's everything. That's it. We're done for today. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for sitting with me tonight on a Friday night, being an art dork. Thank you for anyone that joined us. You joined the cult, the art cult. Thanks for becoming a part of what we're doing here. Teaching art and discussing stupid stuff on Twitch. So in the future, I believe Cthulhu Hoopster wanted me to go over some composition, specifically composition of like movie posters. So we'll do a talk about composition next time I get online. I try and save the actual talking streams for Friday nights typically. But during the week, normally, if I get on without a warning, it's normally just me, with some music on and just drawing something like a speed painting. Feel free to always join me and ask me questions there. But all the ones I talk through, I always upload the video later. If I don't talk during the stream, I don't save it to YouTube. But if I talk during the stream, that's kind of how it works. Thanks for joining me. Have a good night and good weekend. Put some music on. We'll end this whole thing with some music. Just stop.